Welcome, everybody, once again to another episode of B&B Hockey Talk. I'm Aaron Bloxel with my co-host, Mr. Matt Balzer. Lots to talk about today, but before we do, June's sponsor of the month, Flash Wireless in the U.S. On all major carriers, you can pick your plan, click your phone. All the details are on our Facebook page. Use our referral code. Help support the show. Also learn the details about how to get your cell phone service for free. Man, we got lots to talk about, Matt. NHL free agency just around the corner. NHL draft just happened last weekend. A bunch of trades. The Hockey Hall of Fame announced who's going in this year. Some more signings as well. Man, I don't even know where to start. But let's start with the trades that have happened. As there's at least a handful of them.
All right. So Colorado's been busy of late over the past few days. Their first trade, they traded Carl Soderberg to the Arizona Coyotes for Kevin Connauton and a 2020 third-round pick. Soderberg had actually a pretty good year, 49 points in 82 games. Has 1 year left on his contract. And Colorado frees up $4.75 million in cap space with that trade. They now have $38.9 million to spend this offseason. And their only big RFAs are Mikko Rantanen, Alex Kerfoot, JT Compher, Nikita Zadorov, and another guy they just acquired in a trade with Washington, Andre Burakovsky. They acquired from the Washington Capitals for a second-round pick in 2020. And also the third-round pick in 2020, which was the third-round pick that they got from Arizona in the Carl Soderberg trade, and Scott Kosmachuk, who's an AHL player who's a pending unrestricted free agent. Burakovsky, I think in arbitration, he was going to be getting around over $3 million at least, and with Washington's cap troubles, they weren't able to afford him. Good young forward. He's only 24 years old. His underlying stats are actually really good. He just hasn't gotten a good opportunity in a top 6 or top 9 role with Washington. So a couple of good pickups there. And another trade today, the Buffalo Sabres acquired Colin Miller from the Vegas Golden Knights for a 2021 second-round pick, which was actually St. Louis's, and a 2022 fifth-round pick from the Buffalo Sabres. Colin Miller has 3 years left at a $3.875 million cap hit. Really good offensive defenseman. Had 29 points in 65 games last year and had 41 points the year previous for Vegas. And Vegas also made another trade, this one with the Carolina Hurricanes, where they traded Erik Haula to Carolina for Nikolai Waugh and a conditional fifth-round pick. Haula only played 15 games this year before he tore his ACL. But the year previous, he had 29 goals and 55 points in that first year with Vegas. So a really good pickup for Carolina. Both of those trades by Vegas are due because they were over the salary cap by a wide margin. They needed to get under, especially because the William Karlsson contract officially got done. I think we brought it up in last show. He got signed to an 8-year. $47.2 million deal. That's a $5.9 million cap hit. So Vegas, sort of like the Toronto Maple Leafs as well, are making moves, but they still need to make a couple more to manage the salary cap for this coming season.
Let's continue with free agent signings, mostly RFAs. Starting with Toronto as they get a couple done today.
Yeah, so they re-signed Kasperi Kapanen to a 3-year, $9.6 million deal, a $3.2 million contract, and Andreas Johnsson to a 4-year, $13.6 million contract. That's a $3.4 million cap hit. Both players had 20 goals, and Kapanen had 44 points and Johnsson had 43 points. Both young forwards who have a lot of upside still. And they also gave Michael Hutchinson a 1-year extension on a one-way deal worth $700K, as I think they're still looking to move Garrett Sparks and have Hutchinson back up Anderson this coming year. And a couple other minor signings. Brian Elliott got a 1-year extension with the Philadelphia Flyers with a $2 million cap hit. He'll be the backup and could be a 1B behind Carter Hart, depending if he struggles this year. Carl Gunnarsson with the St. Louis Blues got a 2-year extension worth $3.5 million. There were interest from some other teams, but he wanted to stay in St. Louis after winning the Cup there. And 2 other minor signings. Mike Riley with the Montreal Canadiens got a 2-year extension with a $1.5 million cap hit, 11 points in 57 games. Still a younger left-handed defenseman with some offensive upside. And Taylor Fedun with the Dallas Stars got a 2-year deal, just worth a little under $240K a year for him. Actually, a pretty good year. 11 points in 54 games during the season. Being mostly a career AHL guy, but he sort of finally found a fit on Dallas's bottom pair.
The Hockey Hall of Fame committee has announced the inductees for 2019. Some surprises, some definitely not surprises. Some players looking on the outside in still. Theoren Fleury, Alex Mogilny, not in yet. But why don't you go over everyone that got inducted? Or will be inducted. They haven't been officially inducted yet.
Yeah. So first off, the one surefire that everybody knew was going to get in this year was Hayley Wickenheiser, the face of Canada's women's hockey. It's just like for 23 years. She started as a 15-year-old playing for Team Canada. And she went on to score 168 goals, 379 points in only 276 games, winning 4 Olympic gold medals, 7 world championships. She was she's the best player in women's hockey, I think, in history, hands down. But yeah, just a great accomplishment for her. And congrats to her. I believe she's actually part of the Toronto Maple Leafs organization. And a funny story, she was actually having an exam at med school when the call came. So she actually wasn't allowed to answer the phone because she was in an exam. The next one, Guy Carbonneau, 18 seasons in the NHL between the Montreal Canadiens, St. Louis Blues, and the Dallas Stars. He played
the original shutdown centerman.
Yeah, so he won 3 Selke trophies, 2-time runner-up for the Selke Trophy, and 9 times finished in the top 5 in voting. He played 1,318 games, scored 260 goals, and 663 points. He won the Stanley Cup 3 times. The last time was in '93 with the Montreal Canadiens. The last time a Canadian team has ever won the Stanley Cup. I think you can have some arguments with him getting into the Hockey Hall of Fame because I put him in the very good because sure he's got all the background to get into the Hockey Hall of Fame, but I look at his point totals. He never had a season where he had over 60 points in a season. I know, and I know I never saw him play. That's more on your side.
Hey, easy. Actually, I'll tell you a Guy Carbonneau story. But another thing is, I actually respect the fact that the Hockey Hall of Fame is now looking at players more than just points, more people that have changed or contributed to the game. Because I know Guy Carbonneau was in the head office for Dallas Stars for years after he retired. And a funny story there is Brendan Morrow actually married his daughter when they were teammates in Dallas at the end of his career. He was kind of like the old veteran, and Brendan Morrow was the rookie coming in, and he started dating Guy Carbonneau's daughter, and they ended up getting married. But that's a fun story that I remember about Guy Carbonneau.
Oh, that's crazy. That's yeah, and the next big name, Sergei Zubov, 16 seasons in the NHL. I think one of the best offensive defensemen ever to play the game. He had 771 points in 1,068 games, and another 117 points in 164 playoff games. He won 2 Stanley Cups, one in '94 with the New York Rangers, and the next one with the Dallas Stars. I believe that was at '98 or '99. I'm going off the top of my head. The infamous Brett Hull goal in the crease, and then he also won a gold medal in 1992. So. Just looking at some of the numbers, I think he only played the 1 year in Pittsburgh, but he had like crazy good numbers that year. But I think listening to a Spin Chicklets episode, apparently Mario Lemieux wasn't happy with him not getting the puck as much or something like that. He may have been a result of why he got traded to Dallas eventually, but yeah, one of the best defensemen ever to play the game offensively. The next one, the last player was Vaclav Nedomansky. So this was a guy I didn't know much about. So doing some research on him, he was the first ever player to defect from Eastern Europe to join a team in North America, which he did in 1974, joining the Toronto Toros in the WHA. He was a big player in Czechoslovakia. He won back-to-back world championships against the Soviet Union. He also won a silver and bronze medal at the Olympics. And he played 6 seasons in the NHL, scoring 121 goals and 277 points in 420 games, split between the Detroit Red Wings, the St. Louis Blues, and the New York Rangers. So just crazy that he paved the way for a lot of guys coming from the communist side, and either in Russia or all to the east side of the German border there. And also in the builder side, we have Jim Rutherford, who's the current general manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He's won 3 Stanley Cups, 2 with Pittsburgh and 1 with the Carolina Hurricanes. He's been a general manager since the 1967-68 season. So he's been around for a while, and just from my
years.
Yeah, that's crazy. And just from my recent memory and all that, he's never afraid to shake up his roster when he needs to be. And the last guy is Jerry York. He's the NCAA's most winningest coach of all time. He's coached since 1972. He's won 1,067 games and has won 5 national titles over that time span. The last one was in 2012. Split between Boston College, Bowling Green, and Clarkson. So congrats to all 6 of those people, and with Wickenheiser there as well. So it's just but yeah, there's some names that, as you brought up, I thought Theo Fleury or Alex McGinley was the guy that I was rooting for to get in. And some of the first-time guys or first eligible year guys, Vincent Lecavalier, Brad Richards, Dan Boyle, and Patrick Elias, didn't get in this year. So, but I think next year there's going to be a lot of big names. I believe it's the first year that Jerome McGinley, I believe, is eligible, and everybody knows he'll be a surefire Hall of Famer. I think right away, just from his career.
Hey, I never say never. I don't know what the Hall of Fame committee will do, but
yeah.
We had a couple of guys retire this week. Starting with Brooks Orpik out of Washington, and then, of course, Roberto Luongo out of Florida, who Vancouver fans know very well. Why don't you go over some of that and share your best memory of the 2 players?
Yeah. So I'll touch on the Luongo second, just because being a Canucks fan, I have many memories of Roberto Luongo.
And I'll share a thought about both of them as well.
All right. So Brooks Orpik, after 15 NHL seasons, officially retired. He played 1,035 NHL games, scoring 18 goals, 194 points, and 972 penalty minutes. And he also scored 4 goals in the playoffs and 26 points. I believe all 4 of those goals, or it might have been one less, were all game-winning goals in the playoffs, which is crazy. And he won the Stanley Cup twice, the first time in 2009 with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the second time in 2018 with the Washington Capitals. And he made an estimated over $51 million over his career. So I think for Orpik, just one of the best things was just one of the ultimate stay-at-home defensemen. He'd run you over, he'd block shots. I forget that he played like the last few games, I think, with like a broken finger or hand with in Washington, if I remember off the top of my head.
Oh yeah, I remember he had a gruesome finger injury.
Yeah. So just one of like those ultimate guys that you'd love to have on your team, because he give you everything you had to win the Stanley Cup and win every game. I'll let you touch on Orpik first before I start going on.
Sure. So for me, Orpik, to me, I mean, he was a good penalty killer. I really liked how he's one of those guys that would block a lot of shots. In his early years in Pittsburgh, he was a very physical defenseman. And I really like how he was able to change his game as the game got faster, and a guy like him, his foot speed towards the end of his career wasn't as good. He was still able to make a career out of it and hang around and win another Stanley Cup with Washington. And I think it's really neat to see players that can change their game. First guy that comes to mind is a Sam Bennett, where he's an offensive player in junior, expected to be like that in the NHL, but he's more of a grinder, two-way player now. Guys that can come into the NHL and change their game and make a career of it, I respect that a lot. And Brooks Orpik definitely did that. Gone, kind of a 3-4 guy, grinder, played some tough minutes against the other team's top lines, blocked a lot of shots, killed penalties. Never really a big point guy, but was able to continue to be a leader throughout his career in both Pittsburgh and Washington. And of course, his brief day in Colorado.
Yeah. And that was still a great move by Washington to trade him and get Colorado to buy him out and then bring him back on a cheap deal just to get around the
I don't know if that was planned, but it was pretty good. So
yeah. And then, of course, Roberto Luongo.
Maybe that's why Washington just got an extra draft pick for Burakovsky.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, of course, getting to Roberto Luongo, after 19 seasons in the NHL, he's called it quits off just doing it in Roberto Luongo style on Twitter. He was just like, I'm taking my talents to a South Beach retirement home. It was him with a pair of pads hanging over the electric wires or telephone poles. But yeah, just absolutely hilarious. But just to go over his stats. He's the third winningest goalie in NHL history with 489 wins. The only guys ahead of him are Patrick Waugh and Martin Brodeur. He played 1,044 NHL games, which for an NHL goalie, that's absolutely incredible. I think the only other goalie to do that over 1,000 games is Martin Brodeur. He stopped 28,409 shots, which is the second most, and it was only he just fell just short of Martin Brodeur, who was at 28,928. And he did that, Luongo did that, playing 222 fewer games than Brodeur. So to come that close, about 500 short, 500 saves short, is just outstanding.
He has Luongo, though, will have way grayer hair than Brodeur just because of all those years in Florida where he'd face 40, 50 shots a night.
And just to run off the resume, 2 Olympic gold medals, the big one in 2010 here in Vancouver, where after Martin Brodeur lost to the United States in one of the preliminary games, there we go, he went on and won 5 straight games. And I think one of the things that gets overlooked in that gold medal game is that I forget who he stopped in overtime.
Pavelski.
Yeah, he made a huge save in overtime right before Crosby scored that goal. I
remember Kessler getting a good chance on him too. I'm not sure if that was late in the third or in overtime.
Yeah, so I think it's just to hear that stadium and the lose coming out, like it was like deafening. Like it just like how passionate the fans were in that time. He was a 2-time NHL second team All-Star, one in 2004, one in 2007. He was a 3-time finalist for the Vezina Trophy in 2004, 2007, and 2011. Some of those years, I'm pretty sure he should have won. I think it does suck that he never won a Vezina in his career, but he was a finalist for the Lester B. Pearson.
There's at least 2 years, though, he should have, I think, won it, but Brodeur won it over him more on name, I think, than anything else.
Yeah. He was a finalist for the Lester B. Pearson in 2004 and 2007. He was a finalist for the Hart Trophy in 2007 as well. He was the captain of the Vancouver Canucks for 2 seasons,
Yes.
which is something that you just never see as a goalie. And then that first year in the 06-07 season with Vancouver, he came in and won 47 games in 76 games. He played every single home game that season, which is an NHL record. No goalies played all 41 home games in a season. What else? Yeah, and bringing up the finals for the Vezina Trophy. I'll just name off one other statistic. Wow. One stat. Yeah. There we go. One. Yeah, you get what I mean. Man, I can't talk right now. Sorry about that. But yeah, in 2003-04, I'll name off these stats. He played 72 games. He had 7 shutouts, a .931 save percentage, and a 2.43 goals against average with the Florida Panthers. His record: 25, 33, and 14. Like, name a goalie that had a .931 save percentage and had a losing record as bad as that and didn't make the playoffs. But just crazy. But going to memories of Luongo, I was actually lucky enough to be at the infamous bathroom game in the playoffs. His first year in Vancouver, I was actually down at Disneyland during that time. And just so happened that the Canucks advanced to the second round of the playoffs. And
Who came in for him? Was it Danny Sabarin?
Yeah, Danny Sabarin. So, and it was actually the one game that year, the one game that they won in that series, that game. So yeah, that game went to double overtime. And I remember, I believe it was the start of the second overtime, and Danny Sabarin came on, and we were all like, what's going on here? Like, what happened to Luongo? And then we ended up finding earlier that you had to rush to the bathroom there during the intermission. And I believe Jeff Cowan, if I remember off the top of my head, scored the double OT winner.
But Rob Arian.
Yeah, man, that's a name drop right there. Some other ones, of course, the 2011 season. Just some of the saves, like the save on Patrick Sharp in Game 7 in overtime before Alex Burrows scored was another overlooked save. I think the other big save I remember was I forget what playoff year, but it was a huge glove save on Ryan Smith in the slot, where he sort of did like the Hasek barrel, stack the pads, barrel roll glove save, which was absolutely amazing. And then the stuff off the ice, the Strongbone one Twitter that he started off is absolutely hilarious. And some of the stuff that he did with TSN, I don't know if you remember the poetry stuff that he did with TSN, and some of the stuff, the Thing 1, Thing 2 with Corey Schneider as well, and then of course the one before that with Jamie McLennan
and the Zamboni.
So he's he'll be my favorite Canuck of all time, just because I'm also a goaltender. So, and he came in like right at that time where it's just like where I was starting to really get invested in what the Canucks were doing. And just those 8-9 seasons that he played with Vancouver.
Very classy move on his part too. He took out an ad in the Vancouver province yesterday. I think it was yesterday. It might have even been today. Yeah. To thank the fans of Vancouver for the years that he had here. He said some of his fondest memories were here. Of course, the 2010 Olympics, the 2011 Stanley Cup run. Does his number get retired in Vancouver, or does he go into the Ring of Honor?
I know, yeah, because that's the
Kirk McLean's number 1 is already in the Ring of Honor.
Yeah, because that'll be the biggest argument between fans, because like some people think he's only Ring of Honor worthy just because of all the years that he played with the Florida Panthers as well.
I personally think it should be retired. I think he's the Vancouver Canucks best goalie of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, I want to see him retire. Like if he goes in the Ring of Honor, well, one way or the other, I know he's going to get honored one way or the other. Yeah. And that was like the other thing. He's the only other goalie, which there's an asterisk to this, but he is one of 2 goalies ever to be the franchise leader in wins for 2 separate franchises. One with the Canucks, of course, winning 252 games, and he also won 230 games with the Florida Panthers. The only other goalie to be the leader in franchise wins with 2 franchises is Marc-Andre Fleury. But of course, with the Vegas Golden Knights, that's a bit of an asterisk there just because they just got an
I'm
expansion.
surprised Patrick Waugh. I mean, I guess Montreal's such a storied franchise.
Yeah, Patrick was the only other goalie to have over 200 wins with 2 separate franchises. So, but yeah, it's just it just shows that he had all the stats and everything. It's just like I know people will poke that he never won the Stanley Cup or won any major awards, but he was always in the conversation. He was finalist for a lot of the and even in 2011, like I know people rip him on some of the games that he had in Boston. But he also had like 2 shutouts, especially like the game 5 was huge, where I think with all the injuries the Canucks were dealing with, the way that he played, it just really does suck that they came up with the game short. But just ultimate respect to Lou. He should be a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer. Just with all that he accomplished in his career. But just thank you, Lou. For everything that you did.
We're running out of time, so let's keep moving. A couple, I know Phil Housley's now behind a bench. Why don't you update us on the rest of the signings, and then we'll get into some of the free agents before we end today's show.
All right. So Phil Housley was named assistant coach of the Arizona Coyotes. In other coaching news, Craig Berube finally got rid of that interim tag. He got
he's finally a head coach.
Yeah, he got a nice 3-year extension to be the head coach of the St. Louis Blues. Sticking with the Blues, their Stanley Cup banner raising night will be on October 2nd against the Washington Capitals. The Carolina Hurricanes.
It's against Washington. They're rubbing the salt in the wound there, I feel.
And then we had Patrick Marleau was officially bought out by the Carolina Hurricanes. $6.25 million cap hit will all go against Carolina's salary this year. And this year only. Some injuries to report, both from St. Louis. Vladimir Tarasenko had knee surgery and will be reevaluated in 4 weeks. And I don't think we touched this on last episode, but Robert Thomas had left wrist surgery to repair a tendon. And then I think the rest is about rumors and stuff heading into July.
Yeah, so now there's players are allowed to visit with teams and talk. A lot of rumors about Tyler Myers signing in Vancouver, and the Vancouver fans are pretty irate about that. If he does sign here for what's reported, is there anything Tyler Myers can do for the fans to like him?
I know, yeah. Well, the one thing that I will say that we forgot to touch on with Luongo retiring is that there's a cap recapture penalty to both Florida and Vancouver. So Vancouver it's just a little over $3 million. And for Florida, it's just a little over $1 million. The one thing though with Vancouver is that the $800K that they were retaining in Luongo's salary, that comes off. So it's only about like an added like $2.2 million for the next 3 years. And I don't think the Canucks need to worry about it more. It will be more in that 3rd year when they have to re-sign Pettersson and Hughes and whoever else that they have. But yeah, it's just. Man, I lost my train of thought bringing that up.
Talking about can fans actually like Tyler Myers if he signs it? Because there's a lot of angry fans right now saying, they feel it's a mismanaged of cap space for a potential 4 or 5 defenseman.
Yeah. So for me with Tyler Myers, from all the advanced stats out there is that he's not to be worth the money. That's that team that's going to be paying him. And he's more of a 4 or 5 defenseman and not like a top 3 defenseman. So as soon as you started seeing the rumors of like this between the $6 to $8 million range in there,
I keep hearing 6x6 or 7x7.
Yeah. For me, I think from an article that I just read, it's like if you actually compare his numbers or whatever, he's more worth around like the $3.5 million a year. So there's going to be a team that heavily overpays for his services. Like he's still a defenseman, like I wouldn't mind, but like he's not worth the money.
And that's one of the reasons why they let Ben Hutton go, is because they didn't want to pay $4.5 million for him. They might be able to still re-sign him. I've heard Hutton's talking to Florida and Toronto. I've heard Joe Pavelski's talking to Dallas. I hear Robin Leonard's name come up with Pittsburgh and Florida potentially. I know he wants to re-sign in with the Islanders. We keep hearing we're not sure where Anders Lee's going to sign up. Panarin's been rumored in both Florida and the Rangers. Bobrovsky in Florida. Matt Duchene in Montreal and Nashville. What else have you been hearing out there?
Yeah, so Edmonton's looking to beef up their wingers. I saw Brett Connolly's name brought up. Gustav Nyquist is another guy. And then with goaltenders, it's actually sort of funny with both Calgary and Edmonton. Edmonton's been rumored like either into Peter Mrazek or Mike Smith. And then Calgary's even been rumored with Cam Talbot. So that would actually be pretty funny. But I've also seen Talbot's name with Carolina and even New Jersey as well. But the thing is, with Edmonton, they only have around like $8 million to spend in free agency.
Well, and I'm kind of wondering how many of these rumors are a lot of people think that some of them are done deals, but I wonder how accurate some of them are. Kind of like draft day.
Oh yeah, because there's so much speculation going into that first day with like Tyson Barrie's name being thrown out there. There was so much being done or being thrown out there, and then nothing happened.
Yeah.
Another guy to throw out, Matt Duchene. He met with the Montreal Canadiens on Wednesday, and then he met with the Nashville Predators on Thursday. The one thing with Montreal, apparently he grew up as a diehard Habs fan, so that was just him making this up. Because I actually was surprised that Montreal was but apparently Mark Bergevin had kicked some tires.
He won't sign in Montreal because they only sign players under the size of 5'9". Their forwards are only that tall.
Yeah, and then to follow up on Joe Pavelski, his agents come out and it basically, I think he's basically saying that it's basically a done deal that Pavelski will be in a different uniform next season, highly likely. So, and then Wayne Simmons, according there's about like 12 teams interested in him, including Minnesota and Montreal. And then on the RFA front, Mikko Rantanen. Apparently, according to Pierre LeBrun, the two camps aren't really close on a deal at this time. And on Braden Point, it looks like Tampa Bay is trying to go for like that 2-3 year deal, sort of like they did with Kucherov when they did that smaller deal where they used making just over $4 million. But Point's looking for at least 5 years. And then I know you have a little bit on Mitch Marner that you've been.
Mitch Marner is looking for less term. Toronto's trying to sign him at $10 million a year for about 7 or 8 years. He only wants to sign a bridge contract for 4 or 5. So that's why they're a little bit apart there. And they're actually prepared to let him sit, it sounds like, to start the season if he holds out. Winnipeg's in a bit of a predicament too because there's a lot of rumor that somebody might try to offer sheet Kyle Connor, in which case if they match, they won't be able to keep Patrick Laine. So that's something to watch for in Winnipeg. But that's all the time we got for today's show. I know you're going to say something else. So just remember, though, we're not here Monday because it's a holiday here in Canada, July 1st, Canada Day. And it's like Christmas Day for us here in Canada where all the UFAs and stuff happens in the NHL. So it's our second Christmas here. I hope you guys enjoy that. Matt, go ahead. Final word.
Yeah. Just to follow up on the Leafs there quickly, they only have $6.9 million in cap space now, so they'll have to make some trades. Nikita Zaitsev and Connor Brown's name have been brought up, and I know I've fallen behind a little bit on some of the stories and stuff with after the Roberto Luongo and all that. I'll try to catch up a little bit over the weekend. I've just been pretty busy, but especially on July 1st, I'll be trying as fast as I can to update all the signings because that's the best thing with the free agent talking period is that all the deals for the most part should be all lined up for the most part right in the morning, and then I'll be trying to play catch up all day. But at least it's nice that it's a holiday, so I'll have the day off to keep you guys on.
And I'm sure there might be some more movement and trades too prior to that. So remember to like and share us on Facebook and on our YouTube page. If you're watching this video, go to YouTube right now, look up B&B Hockey Talk and hit the subscribe button. Leave your comments below. Remember to like the video. And talk about your favorite hockey team with us. As always, we appreciate you, the fan. Matt, one more word?
Sorry, I forgot. So it's basically, I think on July 2nd was our first show.
Yes, it's our 1 year anniversary coming up.
So just a huge thank you for everybody that's joined our page or whatever. It was just something that, well, Aaron actually brought this up to me, and suggested it. So it's like just a big thank you to you. It's just one of those things where it's like, hey, let's just start the show and see where it goes. It's
We
crazy.
said we'll always do it as long as we're having fun, and I know we're having a lot of fun with it, so we're going to continue to run it. Let us know actually in below if you have any ideas for us. We're always looking for new ideas as well. But as we get into August, we like to review a lot of the teams and what their potential lineup looks like to start the season. We have our top 10 lists, which I know creates some great debate on here as well. So. Yes, thank you to all you fans. 1 year, wow, it's gone by fast.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's it for today's show. We'll be back Wednesday, July the 3rd, and we'll update you all on all the free agent signings and, of course, any trades that happen. Have a great long weekend to all my Canadian friends, and have a great weekend to the rest of you. We'll see you guys next week.